Hey horror fans, welcome back to Room 237 with yet another Mario Bava review. And today, the Bava Collection Volume 2 came in, which has 8 movies, so I have both volumes. I will do a separate video over what's in each volume, but that's pretty awesome. And the first one I watched from that set is 1972's Baron Blood, or its original Italian title, which translates to The Horrors of Castle Nuremberg. And this is the only one I've seen from this set, save for Bay of Blood, which I've already reviewed. And it seems like this film, I guess in general, but especially of Bava's films, this one gets a lot of hatred. I mean, it has a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I don't think it deserves. A lot of people end up putting this on like their bottom of Bava's films. A lot of people don't like this one at all. I actually enjoyed it. I mean, there were times where it did feel more like a Fulci film than Bava, but I like Fulci. And I didn't really mind the story. I like a lot of different things that Bava did with this. Like, we don't ever really get a good look at the killer. It's mostly just shadow and silhouette. How the Baron is stopped at the end, I liked that idea. And for a while, I think it was just the American releases, which it's also known as the Torture Chamber of Baron Blood, which I think Baron Blood is fine enough. Written by Vincent G. Fautre, if I pronounce that correctly, who was actually a professional tennis player who just dabbled in screenplays. And he showed it to someone, Alfredo Leone, who I believe was the producer. And, you know, he really liked it. He wanted to work with Bava. And actually, I was reading about it, so let me pull it up here real quick. He worked with Bava on 4 Times That Night, which is a sex comedy. Don't really know what that means. I mean, I know what a sex comedy is, but that's included on this. I guess that went terribly. And he had turned down Bava to do Hatchet for the Honeymoon, which is one I still have to pick up. Now, Wikipedia says this is Bava's return to horror after 6 years since Kill Baby Kill. But this is 72, and the year before he did Bay of Blood, aka Twitch of the Death Nerve, which is a giallo. A lot of people call it a slasher film. It's a giallo. It's on my slasher playlist, but if you watch the review, you'll know why. I always consider giallo horror, especially since Bay of Blood is one of the defining proto-slashers. Anyway. But yeah, as far as Bava's films go, this really does get a lot of hatred. And I have to say, I think I like this more than, like, Whip in the Body, which I had to watch again because I was kind of dozing off while I was watching it. His schedule lately has been so hectic, I'm starting to fall asleep. But Baron Blood, it tells the story of... There's an American guy named Peter Kleist. He's played by Antonio Cantafora. Again, I'm going to fuck these names up. He goes back to Austria for a school break, to take a break from school. And he wants to look up his family's history. And he's greeted by his uncle, who's played by Massimo Girardi. So, Uncle Carl. invites him to stay at the house, and that's when he learns of this legend. His great-grandfather was a baron, Baron Otto von Kleist, nicknamed Baron Blood because he was a notorious sadist that tortured and killed over 100 villagers. Sort of like a little bit of Vlad the Impaler or Elizabeth Bathory. And you know, but then he burned a witch named Elizabeth Hole, if I pronounce that correctly. I know they said it in the movie, but I suck with foreign names. She was a known witch, burned her at the stake, and she cursed him. That, you know, he will be allowed to rise from the dead, so she will be able to seek vengeance on him with her descendants, I guess. And the castle still stands, but it's being remodeled for like a hotel kind of gimmicky resort, which sounds awesome. I think they were under the pretense it was going to be turned into a hotel, but as the film goes on, it's going to be like this torture chamber kind of site attraction. So they go to the castle, and there they meet this guy, Dortmund, played by Dieter Tressler, who's in charge of the whole remodeling. And he's in a wheelchair. And, you know, the family says, you know, no severe changes be made to the castle, or the architecture. They're at dinner. There's a little redhead girl named Gretchen who says she's seen the Baron before. And apparently there's this sheet of paper that has this incantation that can bring him back to life. So Peter and this girl that he met, Eva, former student. Oh, he's not a student. He's a teacher. That's right. He's a professor. Eva is one of his former students, played by Elke Summer. Anyway, they go to the castle. They read the incantation, and then sort of like the monkey's paw, they hear banging on the door, which I like that shot. It's like this weird upward angled shot of like this cobwebby castle door. Eva tries to get Peter to recant the incantation. There's like a reverse spell. But a gust of wind comes in and blows it into the fire. So now the Baron is free. And we don't ever really get a good look at him, which I like. That's different. First time we see him, it's kind of like Jeepers Creepers, because he's got like a pilgrim hat and a cloak, long frizzy hair. And he's kind of got like this stumble because he's undead. And he's all in silhouette and fog, you know, shadows of the forest trees. I really thought that looked great. He goes to this doctor's place, and the doctor heals up, you know, which when he's in the doctor's office, which sounds silly, there's a flash of lightning which illuminates his face a little bit. That's really the only glimpse we get. You can tell he's all rotted, skeletal. Kind of looks like the real form of Dr. Phibes, like just a kind of skeletal look. He gets his wounds dressed, kills the doctor because he's going to call an ambulance. And he just starts going after people sort of involved with being around his castle. Like, you know, of course, they admit to his uncle what they did. Of course, he doesn't believe him, not till later. But in some of the... Oh, no, wait. The castle was bought... Okay. Please forgive me. The guy doing the renovations is not the wheelchair one. The wheelchair guy is a millionaire who bought it, and he's going to do something else with it. And of course, Eva, she's kind of like a damsel in distress. There's a lot of scenes with her being chased by the Baron, which she's, or attacked by the Baron. Which there's moments she's chased in it's like foggy streets and alleyways. Of course, the cinematography looks great, as always with Bava. But a lot of the scenes that have the Baron and the kill scenes, you get these really raw, different angles. That's why it makes me think of like a Fulci film. And it doesn't, it's not quite as rich looking as, say, even Bay of Blood, but, you know, Kill Baby Kill, or Black Sunday, or Black Sabbath even. Just, the look of the film is less Bava, more Fulci. And of course, you know, there's this one guy who he, you know, wraps a rope around his neck, throws him over a railing. This other guy gets put in Iron Maiden, and he closes it slowly, so you can tell it's a dummy, but you can see the spikes going in his eyes and mouth for like a fraction of a second before it shuts. And so you get some good kills, but and you know, they go to this local medium named Christina, who's played by Rada Rasimov, who also plays the witch in like flashback and audio bits. She gives him this amulet that will she gives him the amulet and says only the ones that brought him back can put him away. And then the little redhead girl, she's on her bicycle on her way back home from school. She's chased by the Baron. And you know, then you pretty much see what the millionaire is planning to do with the castle. Like, he puts these dummies impaled on stakes, like up on like the steeples. Again, like Vlad the Impaler, which I know that was more in the landscape, in the boundaries of the castle itself. And he has like a full torture chamber exhibit. And that's when we find out he really isn't in a wheelchair. He's a bullshitter. He brings our main characters down to the torture chamber. He starts torturing them. Like, he puts Peter on the rack and starts torturing him with like hot irons. Eva's able to free herself, but she drops the amulet, and it lands on the guy that was killed in the Iron Maiden, and some of her blood drips on it. And I liked this idea because not only is it whoever brought him back to life can put him away, but if one of his victims gets hold of the amulet, then all his victims from the film have risen and they go to torture him. And some people might say it's disappointing because of how they don't show it. Had the rest of the film been less Fulci and more Bava, if that makes sense, like, because this does feel more like a Fulci film, because all we see are like hot irons and pokers being heated up on a flame, And then, you know, we hear like the undead moans and then the screams of the Baron. We don't see what they do to him. But I thought it was stylized in such a way that it still had the effect. I don't think, I mean, because of some of the deaths that were in this, yeah, a big bloody finale would have fit. But I don't really know how. Like, if this were a Fulci film, then it would be disappointing. But for me, like, Bava has always been, for me anyway, style and style. You know, it's, if he stylizes it in such a way, it's still effective. I mean, this film doesn't really have the, it does have atmosphere, not as much, but it does, as, say, Black Sabbath, or Kill Baby Kill, or especially Black Sunday. I didn't think this film was disappointing. I like the idea that the Baron is fucked up looking, but we don't get to see him. Or that the deaths can be gruesome, but we don't really see all the blood. And when the Baron gets his comeuppance, we know he's being tortured in the torture chamber, but we don't see it. Bava does such a way with sounds and music and what he does put on the screen that it's still effective, at least for me. And believe me, I'm a huge gore hound. I've always loved blood and gore. The gore the merrier. But there's a difference between a movie lacking it and being disappointing and dissatisfactory, and it being stylized and making up for it elsewhere, which I think this film does. So I don't understand the hate that this film gets. Then our characters get away, and we get, you know, the image of the Baron with his cloak flapping in the wind, standing on, like, sort of like a Batman perch up on the top of the castle, with the witch hauler's, you know, curse being said through voiceover. You know, yeah, I don't understand the hate for this film. I actually really enjoyed it. Had this been a Fulci film, because Fulci, you can expect the gore. And I know Bava is, you know, a lot of his films can be very gory. Bay of Blood. But I think Bava is more known for his style. Whereas Fulci, you're going to get a bloodbath. So that ending, I'm driving this point into the ground, but I really want to deliver the point that I love gore, I love blood, I love seeing torture and stuff. But implications and stylized stuff can still work. And I enjoyed Baron Blood. Like, I would probably say I like this more than The Whip in the Body, but I'll have to watch that again. But I see this as on par with Kill Baby Kill. Call me crazy, but I do. And I think Bava should have been proud of this film. I don't think he was. This film's been shit on ever since. I guess it was a moderate hit in America, but it didn't really make any money at all, and it sucks, because I actually enjoyed this film. Not a lot to talk about, but I really enjoyed it. But yeah, that is Mario Bava's 1972 Baron Blood. Thank you for watching.